best summer weather, gorgeous lake, great nature. I'm so happy. A poker face. That's all you need in life. But what really annoys me is all those tourists here. They don't know how to behave. Why can't just all the people who live here be here? I'm annoyed by all these tourists. And I'm also sad, really sad, because people load off their garbage here. Oh, can you see it in my face? Now, that is one of you assumed to be something to achieve, a poker face. A poker face, people say, is one of the techniques you need to be successful in life. Because some of you say they don't want to be deciphered. They want that everyone doesn't know what's in there, what's going on emotion-wise. But I gave you just the example what a poker face would mean. A poker face would mean that there is no connection. I talked about happiness, I talked about sadness and anger, and all of my facial expression was the same. Now, the problem with that is that when we are together in a group, we need to have some points, some reference points where we know in what emotional state the other person is in. Why is that important? That is important because then we know how to communicate with that person. Communicate with caution, communicate with complete openness, communicate with a lot of sensitivity. All of that we know because we see from the facial expression and also from the body language. If a person seems to be sad and we want to have a good connection to that person, it is important that we start the communication with a lot of sensitivity, with a lot of empathy. And if we see people with a lot of happiness, it's so important that we, in a way, mirror that happiness so that we don't draw down the emotional state of that person. And that is all we can see from the emotional state. Now, some of you say, but people can read me like an open book because each and everything I show can be read and can be seen in my face from the first moment on. Well, you know what? You have a huge advantage in life, at least in most situations, because you give all the people a lot of reference points where to connect and how to connect with you. So when you think a poker face would be good, let's say when it's about the first impression, when it's about a job interview, or when it's about maybe the first date, then you are completely on the wrong track. You only try to be, you try to get in an upper position that you don't show anything from you, but you expect to see everything from the other person. Now, that is, on the first hand, it is very asymmetrical, because a good communication is on the same level as the counterpart. But if you think it is more important to read than to show, that is not on the same level as your counterpart. And that is number one. Number two is the more you show, the more the other person opens up. That is why when you see in comedy shows, if you hear them on the radio or if you see them on TV, like sitcoms, they always mix in that applause and that laughs that come from behind, because that helps us to get in the same emotional state. And have you ever been in a sad situation when people start to cry around you? You also tend to be more sad. And that is the same thing, because we tend to mirror the emotion that is all around us. And if you want to get people in the same state as you are, it is important that you show what you are feeling right now. And now the last point is about negotiations. A lot of people think, and a lot of coaches say that showing a poker face would be the peak of being a good negotiator. Well, the thing is, yeah, it's an idea not to show anything, not to give too much from your side, because it could be a disadvantage. Well, in a few situations that might be good, but believe me, a negotiation is always an emotional thing. And the more the other person thinks that you are completely open, that you don't have an hidden agenda, the more you show that, and the more it is obvious that you don't want to pull the other person over the table, the more you show that, the better it is, because then the other person also starts to open up. That is why when I teach people about negotiations, I always give them hints and tips how to show an emotion that is positive and that helps them in a given situation. That is not always happiness. That is not always superiority. Sometimes it's anger. In a given situation, to show anger properly is so important that the other person realizes, oh, that was too much from us. But if you don't show anything, if you don't give them a hint that we are on the right track in our negotiation, we tend to get closer. If you don't show them any hints that this is the track where you get a solution that is okay for both of you, then the negotiation will be very, very hard. Negotiating with a poker face is only relevant in one situation, and that is when you don't have to, and when you don't have to rely on a good relationship between you and the other person. And that is why, conclusion, that is why poker faces are very short-sighted. Because I repeat, from an evolutionary standpoint, it was never thought that we don't show any emotion. On the contrary, it was important that we give the other people clues that they know that we are, that they know in what emotional state we are in. And for negotiations, it is important to give the other person clues that they realize on an emotional basis that they are on the right track. If you like that video, give me a thumbs up and give me also some comments what you think about my thoughts about poker face. Are there situations where you think that a poker face was more important than showing your emotions, or do you go align with me? And if you like that video, and if you think some people need that, maybe your boss in your company, then please share that video.